Hello. Welcome to part 3 of me rambling about the game I'm making. Um, I'm actually having a lot of fun making these videos. I don't really edit them a whole lot. Um, I just kind of start up the camera and ramble. Um, Today I'm actually going to be actively working on the game, so it's a little bit different. Um, In this case, I am making textures to use. I make all of the textures from scratch. Um, and by that, I mean I either source my textures from my own digital camera that I've actually got next to me, and I take a photo and throw it into GIMP here, or I'll find some sort of picture-based texture website. I use Texture Ninja quite a bit. Texture Ninja doesn't give you like tileable textures, but it does give you pictures that you can use and turn into textures, which I really, really, really like doing. Um, the textures in Killer Penguin Panic are either hand painted or photo sourced. These two that I've worked on are photo sourced. I was walking around last night and I was taking photos of stuff around my local area. So this one is part of a crosswalk, and this one is a sewer grate. Um, of course, it doesn't look like a sewer grate if I tile it like so. Well, it kind of looks like a sewer grate, but it looks like something else, sort of. It's like this kind of metal catwalk, sort of, which I like. It looks good. And actually, how good did that look? Let's see here. Yeah, looks fine. I didn't actually tile this. Like this one, I need to edit it quite a bit. You can see in the, let's pull this up, and the layers and stuff, I do quite a bit of post-processing. So this is the original, just scaled down to 64 by 64, and cropped in a certain way. And then this is the final edited result right here. Looks quite a bit different. Similar, but different. And then same thing here. This one actually looks really similar, it's just I removed the kind of glossy shine. You do that in GIMP by doing a wavelet decompose, as it's called, and what this does is it basically decomposes one layer into like 6 layers. One of them is the color, and the other ones are for like high contrast stuff. I don't really mess with these a whole lot. I mostly just mess with the color, and the color, to make it not have that kind of glossy shine, what you do is you take the color layer in the decomposition and you pixelize it, and you crank this all the way up, and it'll remove all the shine from an image. Not always, but 90% of the time it works, and I don't need to do anything else. Because I am very fortunate to be living in 2025 where I don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. Today, on the me rambling about my video game, we have my cat in the background, who is currently being really, really annoying. Oops. I love my cat, but she just kind of gets up to whatever. Anyways, I don't really have any clear goal or vision for like what textures I'm making. I have no goal of that right now. It's just like I have let's pull it up. I have all these textures I took, and yeah. These ones down here are a lot older. I was walking in a different I'm really far part of where I live. But they're here. Let's see if we can find a good one. These ones were also taken at night. Ooh, that one looks pretty good. A little bit fuzzy and grainy. The camera I have a phone camera that is really good, and then I have a digital camera that is just definitely worse, not nearly as great, but all these were taken using the not so great digital camera because I kind of like challenging myself. Like, it makes no sense to do it. Why are you making it harder on yourself? But it's just like, I don't know. It's fun. It's fun. It's great. I love it. Here's my cat. Hi, kitty. So here's the texture. 6 minutes in. And let's take a step by step of how I make my textures, and I'll kind of like walk you through the process, because, you know, maybe you watching this can get some informative value out of it. Okay, so first thing, this texture is not aligned properly. It's rotated slightly because I was rotating the camera, and this is always going to happen if you're taking your own photos. They're going to be rotated. So go ahead and enable the grid, and let's go to configure grid, and we're going to scale this up to about, I don't know, 600 or so. Yeah, that's good. And the grid gives us lines of reference. So this texture is bricks. That's kind of funny looking bricks, but it's got these straight lines, and so we might line up the straight lines on the texture to the straight lines on the grid. And we do so by using this rotate tool. So let's go ahead and rotate it. Try to get it as close as we can. It doesn't matter if we don't get it perfect. All that matters is that we get it close enough. Also, this texture is massive. I think it's rocking... Yeah, that's like beyond 4K resolution. 4K resolution, and these pixels are still so fuzzy. Very fuzzy. Oopsies. Okay, now let's go ahead and we want to crop it in a way to where it'll tile really nicely. So for this bit, there are other videos talking about, I'm pretty sure... Oh, fuck. Oh, there's one that I really like. It's a guide to making PlayStation 1 style textures by the Sickly Wizard. Go check out his channel. I learned most of the basics from his stuff. He's really good, really skilled at what he does. But he recommends that you tile everything in a 1:1 kind of ratio here. And this works. This is really good advice. However, for me, the way that I do stuff is because this is such a high resolution, I can go off the 1:1 ratio slightly. I can deviate from it, and it'll still tile just fine. So I think this chunk right here will tile great. So I'm not... This isn't exactly 1:1, but if it's close enough, it's close enough. And it doesn't really matter too much. Let's kind of get that. That looks good. It's a little bit warped down here, but we can always kind of edit that out later. Yeah, I think that'll tile nicely. Let's go ahead and let's scale it down to our desired 64:64, and then let's go ahead and check to make sure I cropped it correctly, because this is supposed to be repeating, so you want to crop it in a way to where you don't have, in this case, two straight down like chunks right next to each other. So this one is vertical, straight down, vertical, straight down, vertical, and this repeats. this repeats, this repeats, this repeats. You don't want two verticals on either side here, because then it'll look weird. But in this case, I seem to have gotten it actually pretty nicely. That looks really, really nice. Okay. Great. Let's do the wavelet decompose. Then we need to do the pixelize on the base layer to kind of cut out some of the shadows and stuff. It'll remove a lot of the color as well, but I have a trick for fixing that as well. So it'll make the texture look a lot more flat, and for a game like Killer Penguin Panic, which doesn't use any normal maps, we want to avoid the textures looking flat, so there's a way of giving more depth to this awfully flat texture that I'll show at the end of this process for the texture. Okay, now next off we have all the shadows removed, so we're going to offset it by half and half to expose the seams. Although the seams aren't that visible in this, which is great, there's just a little bit of awkwardness right here, so we'll go ahead and fix that. Get our super precise tool right here. Not precise, but small. We're using a very small brush for this, to get this really kind of fine point to things. There we go. That looks good. Okay, then we can also add in a little bit extra here. There we go. And then everything else looks pretty good. We got really lucky with this texture because we don't really need to do much else because it looks like it's tiling perfectly. Okay, great. The next thing we need to do is that thing I talked about where we add more depth to it. So for this is where the hand painting comes in. I'm not that... I won't say I'm like really great at hand painting, but I'm decent enough. And what differentiates someone who is not so great at hand painting in this instance and someone that is great is just recognizing where are these bricks going to be lighter and where are these bricks going to be darker. So looking at this, if we have a light coming from the top here, they're probably going to be lighter on this part, and they're going to be a little bit darker on this part, right? And I'm doing this on a separate layer because then I can change the mode on this layer to something like soft light, and we just highlight the brick, right? Now, of course, you want to use a little bit darker colors for this, so something more subtle. Something like this should work. Then a little bit less dark, so something around here. Maybe tone this down a little bit more. I don't know if that worked. Yeah, there you go. Just add some depth to it. Now we could go along and do the same thing for all these. So like that, and that'll work. But that'll take a while, so I'll finish that up on my own time. So let's do another one. Ooh, this one looks kind of cool. This one I took a little bit earlier, so it goes like newest to oldest, and the sun was setting as I was taking these, so that's why in this you can still see some of the light outside. Okay, so where was it? Ah, here. You can see my little toes poking out here. My dirty, disgusting shoes that I wear. Okay, next one. Same thing as before. Let's get it to be right around here. Once again, we got this kind of like off part, but that's alright. That's okay, it's no worries. Can always fix it. Life story. There we go, this looks pretty good. Alright, let's see if I cut it right. Same process. Did I cut it right? Yeah, that looks pretty good. This weird bit here is obviously still poking out, but we can go ahead and fix that. I'm not going to do a wavelet decompose because I actually like the kind of like noise that this texture currently has to it. It's got these like dark splotches all over it and these lighter like gleams and stuff on the edges of the tiles. And I really, really like that, so I'm going to leave that. Let's go ahead and offset, divide it by 2, and there's the ugliness. So then let's go ahead and fix that. And this one will take a little bit longer. But it's the same process generally. Let's switch to the clone tool. Get more firm control on it. There we go. And then we can use the heal tool to kind of smooth over what we did with the clone tool. Because the clone tool is very, very rough. It's got a hard edge, but the healing tool has a very, very soft edge to it. For this one I can probably just use the heal tool. Oop, gotta make sure. Symmetry, up here, change that to tiling, and crank it all the way up. The sickly wizard in his channel taught me that. Generally, the guy is amazing at what he does. Alright, let's go over here. And for this one, we've kind of got like darker spots right up here and darker spots here. And then in between, it's like trying to fill both lanes, I guess you could call them. So for this one, you need to get kind of deep into hand painting. So let's try and do something like this. And let's pick the left lane, just because I feel like that's going to be easier to sort out. Okay, and then for this stuff, we can remove this, paint over it. Keep it, you can keep it a little rough for now, it's alright. We don't want double lanes, we only want 1 pixel stripes everywhere. So for that reason, some of these tiles are going to be a little bit stretched, more stretched than others, but it's alright. It only matters what the player notices or what the player sees, so the fact that we know that some of these are stretched doesn't mean that the players will know it's stretched. When I did animation, the whole idea behind animating was, because animation is difficult, you only want to animate what the camera will see, because the camera represents the audience, so you want anything in front of the camera to look its best, and anything behind the camera, it literally does not matter what's going on. So, interestingly, for most of the time the characters are on screen, or whenever something's on screen, you would animate that, but then if there's a character or something else behind the camera, most of the time they would just be standing still, like completely frozen. And this seems obvious, but it's really, really interesting when you first like realize, or you see a screenshot of like, hey, here's behind the scenes of this like Disney movie, or here's behind the scenes of another animated thing, and it shows these characters just standing idly behind the camera. And then another interesting thing about animation is how some of the what is it? The characters in animation, if they have limbs that can stretch, to exaggerate a pose, sometimes animators will stretch out the character in a way that to the camera, the character looks exaggerated and their pose looks really, really, really solid, but it looks super awkward from a different angle. Because the character is stretched out, they'll typically be stretched out like in a way that only makes sense to the camera. But from the side, the character looks mangled and deformed. If I remember to edit this, I'll throw in an example of such a case. There we go. This is looking better already. Awesome. Okay. Let's kind of help fill in some of these awkward kind of gaps and stuff in the seams of the brick. There we go. That looks a lot better. Look at that. Cool. And then let's tile this, and it should tile really nicely. Nice. Nice. Awesome. Alright, cool. Now, because I'm taking a lot of these at night, some of them have this weird green tint, or this weird purple tint or something to it. I think if I was taking this with a much more... with my phone camera, it wouldn't look so purple, but because this is what the texture is, we have to color correct it. So this is the next step. We need to go in... let's duplicate this so we can undo our changes, because all the filters in GIMP, or at least the version of GIMP I'm using, are permanent. There's no, like, filters or modifiers or anything you can just undo. Okay, so we need to... this is currently kind of purple. We need to make it a little bit more red. So kind of tone that back a bit. That's a little more red. We do a little bit better though, I think. We crank this up, then we lower its saturation just a bit. Yeah, that's not that noticeable, but it is certainly more red than purple. So, cool. Awesome. We went from this cold, kind of miserable texture that doesn't tile so seamlessly to this. And this looks so great. It's really rewarding to see the end product of a texture that you've made. It's really, really, really good. It's a great feeling. What's this one? I don't know this one. I don't know what I took a picture of. See this one? That one's too blurry. A lot of these are just like, what am I doing? This one I could use, because this one has a nice little ridge in it, which would help break up some stuff, I think. There's my toes again. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's use this one. I feel like the less mature version of Bob Ross right now. Just kind of being positive about this stuff I'm working on. Okay, let's once again try and get it aligned with the grid. Same thing as before. Let's do 600. Okay, I think this kind of ridge right here actually curves up a little bit, which is awkward, but when we scale it down, it should remove that curve, at least somewhat. Yeah, that's close enough. Oh, also, happy 4th of July. Okay. For this one we can be generous and use a 1x1. Just because this, there's no pattern or anything. So using a 1x1 is preferred, because then when you scale it down, you don't have any stretching or anything. Okay, this actually is... I can work with this. Let's go ahead and, we can wavelet decompose it. Pixelize it. Remove those weird shadows and stuff. New layer from visible. Let's offset it. Speedrunning this one. The seams aren't too noticeable, but I can sort of see them, so I'm just going to use a large healing tool on this. Because this is just like really smooth, blurry concrete, you can really get sloppy and messy with the healing tool, and it doesn't matter. Down here, I'm gonna tweak this just a bit. I would if I could. There we go. Awesome, and then up here looks fine. Cool. Then now we're gonna color correct it. For this one, let's do something a little different. Let's duplicate the layer. Let's turn its saturation all the way down so we get it completely grayscale, and we remove that weird green gunk from it. And then what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna go to colors, and we're gonna raise the color temperature to make it a little bit more warm. So this kind of like orangey, kind of not necessarily vanilla, but it's kind of warmer color. And then let's go ahead and tile this to check and see how we did. And then for this is a pretty interesting case, because this looks great and it tiles seamlessly. However, you get this weird kind of ridge right here, like this weird crease that I don't really like. So let's go ahead and remove that, and we can actually see that here. So we're going to go ahead and edit it one more time, just to kind of smooth that over. Boop. And kind of heal over it. Then we're going to tile that again. 640 by 640. And there we go. That looks a lot better. So we went from having this weird crease, and we removed it, and it looks a lot more clean. Perfect. There's another one down. Let's go ahead and remove this, remove that, and I'll export all these later, so for now they'll just be kept as separate windows in GIMP. Alright. Let's do another one. Let's make this our last one. Let's see here. That one's too similar to the ridge one we've got already. Got some interesting bricks here. Ooh, we've got this kind of mulchy stuff, which I like. I don't have any mulch textures for Killer Penguin currently. Let's use that. Let's use that. And then in the next video, if I'm still talking about textures, I'll probably talk about turning these things on the walls into actual models, because this is one of the hardest parts of anything ever. Oh, I didn't mean to open that. Nope, wrong one. Where is it? Let's use this one here. Typically, you'd want to take these photos during a foggy day rather than at night, because when it's at night, especially with this older camera, the colors can look slightly off, and then you need to remove the shadows and whatnot. And there's this center light kind of focusing in, and it looks bad, and everything looks green and gross and purple. So you want to do it when a foggy day, when there's no shadows and everything has its correct color, because then that's perfect. I was only doing this at night because there wasn't hasn't been a foggy day for a while. So, yeah. Also, no, I did not take this on the 1st of January. These photos are not that old. It's just that I recently got the camera and haven't set its date yet. Okay, so for this one is just messy all over the place, but we can still extract a texture from it. So let's go ahead and yoink kind of this bit right here. That bit looks good. Then, doesn't really matter where we would have cropped there. Scale it down, that's alright, but I kind of want more mulch in it. Like, so you can more easily tell it's mulch. So let's take this, scale that down. There, that's a smaller portion of the image. That should go a bit better. Yeah, you can more easily tell that's mulch because you can see the individual spikes and everything rather than it just being a blurry mess. So, that's great! Cool, same thing as before. Wavelet decompose. I really like this feature in GIMP. Pixelize. New layer from visible. And this one, we can actually do something really cool. You might have seen me whenever I type in tile. It has this option called tile seamless. This is great for really noisy textures and stuff. For patterns, it's not nearly as great. And I'll explain why. But just to show you, tiling seamless. Boom. Put it in. Image looks the exact same. Go ahead and tile it now. And without anything, it's perfectly tiled. Of course, there's still this like weird glob that I would like to remove. So let's go ahead and do that now. I think I see the glob right there and there. So let's go ahead and just kind of patch that over. Once again, it's really noisy, so you can kind of get messy with it if you really want to. Okay. There we go, got rid of the glob. You can still easily tell it's repeating, but not as easily. Great. Now, let's go back to this, and let's use this as an example. The tile seamless function doesn't understand patterns, so you see how we had those large tiles from before, and the tile seamless just kind of broke it up and completely ruined it. The algorithm isn't content aware, so that's why we were doing stuff manually from before and not using the tile seamless. In this case, it works because it's a noisy texture, but especially for patterns. Ugh. Although this one actually looks fine. Like, I could probably use that somehow, but nah. Alright, and with that, that's me rambling about textures for 33 minutes. That's about it.